Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. First things first, guys, make sure you're smashing the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And it's the final game before the international break, and it is a big one. Chelsea, Arsenal, Stamford Bridge, London derby, both teams level on points heading into this game. But Chelsea's record against Arsenal is poor. 1 win in the last 9 against the Gunners, and I've not forgotten that 5-0 at the Emirates last season. We are coming for a little bit of retribution, but to be honest, two teams in contrasting form heading into this game, even though we're on the same number of points. So we're going to dive into it. Delighted to be joined by Lee, as always. Mate, good to catch up again. Pleasure to have you on. Arsenal, talk to me. What's going on? I know we're level on points, but the feelings around the clubs is obviously very, very different right now. What's going on with your boys?
Well, lost form, few injuries, but that's, like everybody gets injuries. It's how you deal with them. And unfortunately, Mikel has come up short trying to find solutions for it. I think that, yes, Odegaard's been missed, but, taking Kai Havertz out of the front row and putting him into the middle row, if you like, has not helped. And so we've lost his ability to give us a platform up top, and we've put like Trossard in it. It just hasn't worked, and we've lacked a little bit of threat all around. I don't really understand why he's done that, and it's caused us a few problems. We was toothless against Inter, if I'll be honest. Even though I thought they defended well, Inter, but the performance last week against Newcastle, if Arsenal put in any sort of performance like that, then it's wave the title goodbye, and you might as well have the 3 points now. It's as simple as that. Last week at Newcastle was probably one of the worst performances. Well, it was probably the worst performance in over 2 years. So that's how bad it was. But and we've got to recover. And listen, it's always a tough game against you boys, but we have got to, if we've got any aspirations of winning the title, we've got to go here and get the 3 points, and that's easier said than done.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, I look at Arsenal. But you went very, very close last season. You were 1 win away from winning the title. Basically, if you defeated Aston Villa at the Emirates, you would have won the league. You were very, very close. I look at it, and in the summer, I think Arsenal missed a massive, massive opportunity to go out there, get centre forward, top class centre forward, go and get yourselves one. That's going to score you the goals. And you're thinking like 1 or 2 pieces to then show you're serious. We're going to win this title. I looked at your summer window and felt you signed Mikel Merino, you signed Raheem Sterling, you signed that keeper Neto, whatever, no big deal. And you signed Calafiori and whatnot. Maybe I might have missed 1 or 2, but I look at that window and I think, that's not a window that tells me that Arsenal are serious about winning the Premier League. You look at the deficiencies. Every single person said Arsenal need a centre forward. They need goals. And there isn't really that many goals in the team. Havertz has done a good job. Jesus, I'll be totally honest, a bit of a waste of space, not scoring any goals. Trossard seems to be a different player when he starts to when he comes off the bench. And I just feel like it was a big, big missed opportunity. Do you sense that's maybe a little bit where the problems have started by not addressing what needs to be addressed in the window?
No, not really. I think that because we was free flowing last season with goals, top scorers in the league. What's happened is that we've had 1 injury, and you've completely dismantled what we had, and I mean that since, like Havertz last season from January, I think, to May, whenever it was, 15 goals, so many assists, scoring goals for fun. As I was saying earlier on the Invincibles, Havertz from January to May played 3 games in midfield last season. Aston Villa at home, Bayern Munich at home, Bayern Munich away.
Didn't win any of them. Every other game we won, apart from Manchester City away, which we drew 0-0. But you take that in the context of it all. So 3 games that he went back into midfield, we lost it. We didn't win a game. He's gone into midfield against Bournemouth. He's gone into midfield against Newcastle. He's gone into midfield against Inter Milan. Is there a theme there?
Is there something going wrong?
Not winning games. But do you think it's as simple as that? Like, or is because there must be a little bit more to it than that? Or do you really think it's as simple as Havertz
No.
is back and it's not working? Because you look at, like, as you say, last season you played some brilliant football, and Arsenal, traditionally is associated with playing, great football, pleasing to watch, pleasing on the eye. It almost feels like, having gone so close last season, Arteta almost felt like, maybe I actually can't win the league playing like this. And why do you think there's been such a drastic change in style? Because even when Odegaard was playing earlier this season, the performances still weren't that great. You seem to have reverted to playing a bit more of the, I don't want to use the term dark arts, but you know what I mean? You seem to have becoming a lot more of a defensive-minded side. Set pieces seem to be your main threat, and that's fine. Set pieces are an important part of the game, but when it's coming across as your only threat, that's a little bit of a problem, personally speaking. But why do you think the styles changed so drastically from what you were doing last season to this season?
Well, because we've had Odegaard out for all of that time. I think he only played the first couple of games. I don't know how many was in. He got on the international break, which would have been in September, so it weren't too many games. I think in the games that he did play was Aston Villa away. He didn't play Tottenham away. He didn't play Man City away. So, I think when you look back, I think even the Brighton game, I don't know if he played in the Brighton game. I'm not 100% sure. I think he did play in the Brighton game. That was the last game that he played. We went down to 10 men. That ain't helps, going down to 10 men on a few occasions. But listen, that can happen in football, as you well know. So I think that we had difficult games, Villa and Spurs away. That Spurs away is always difficult. You know that from Chelsea as well. Like, even though your record wouldn't say so, but
derbies are tough.
Yeah, they're not easy. You know what I mean? So I think that there was something in that. But listen, when you turn around and say, "Oh, you don't need a centre forward," we do need a centre forward. When you're taking your centre forward and putting him in midfield, and then you're not replacing it, then listen, I ain't got a problem. Say if we'd have gone and bought, I don't know, Coquerez from Sporting this season, and you're putting Kai Havertz into that midfield role, and then you're putting him in, I don't think it would have been. We wouldn't have been nowhere near as defensive or whatever than what we have. It's just that it's like saying to Man City, I'll tell you what, we're missing De Bruyne. I'll tell you what, we put Haaland in the midfield. I know it's not the same in it, but you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean. You don't take your main centre forward out and put him in midfield, especially when you haven't got no backup for it. Like, because Jesus, as you said, has never been the same since he's been injured. Never, I don't think he's got that bit of extra pace and what he had when before that injury. It took its toll on him, So I do think that that's where we've gone wrong. I was speaking to some people about it. Maybe Arsenal should have just gone, look, we don't really need Calafiori, we don't really need Marino. Keep what we've got and go and get the big centre forward along there, but they haven't done that. I just think at the end of the day, I'm going to be really honest, Mikel's got this completely wrong since Odegaard's been injured. Completely wrong. He's messed up. He's messed up big time. He's got to rectify it on Sunday. We've got the spark there in Wanyeri, and he's chose not to do that. So he's took out I think our two best attacking options that create. One creates through going through the lines in Odegaard, and the other one is Havertz, who brings people into play. You know that he can do that. He brings other people into play. But when he's winning balls in flank or on the flanks or in those wide areas, and then the next ball is to Saka. Saka crosses it. There's no one in there. So we haven't had that presence in the box which he gave us last season. So for me, it's all on one man. On one man's, he's completely, and in my opinion, as I've said just to you earlier on, how many more times or how many, just go up to him, you know what I mean? Like, Mikel, you're going to play him in midfield? Okay, right. Well, you lost here. You lost here. You lost here. When are you going to realise it's not working? When are you going to realise it's not? And if he does it again on Sunday, if Havertz is in midfield on Sunday and it's Trossard down up there, congratulations, there's your 3 points. Because I'll tell you what will happen. You'll get a goal and then you'll sit back and go break us down. And we'll be still there till the next international break. we won't break you down, as we didn't break down Inter Milan, as we didn't break down Newcastle. Done nothing realistic. I'm not having a go at Newcastle.
No, they didn't though. They didn't have to play that well.
Didn't have to do nothing. They just said, right, we've got the goal, which is a bloody good goal, by the way, which you know all teams are capable of doing. And then I'll tell you what, we'll sit back and you break us down. And we never really did. We had a couple of chances. Declan Rice had one at the end, but nothing really clear cut. Maybe that was, but you know what I'm saying. And that's what Chelsea will do. Chelsea are a different team to what they have been over the last couple of years, in my opinion. They're on the up. You know, they've got some very, very good players. Certainly now a few of your boys are starting to hit the form that you would expect them to do. And with Cole Palmer and, or Cole Palmer, should I say, and Casido in it at the moment, that's as good as two in a midfield area and that's in the league. So danger signs will be there. If we don't stop Palmer and we don't stop Jackson and we play the way we're playing, then we'll get beat. But if we've got that little bit of... and at the end of it, I look at it and I think to myself, Timber at left back, two of the best central defenders in the league in Saliba and Gabriel, and Ben White, also one of the best right backs. That it doesn't need six players to protect it. It might need one or two, but not the way that he's gone, like, you know. And for me, Trossard's done nothing in that role. Wanyeri's come on and done really well. It's time for Wanyeri now or Odegaard to come back in. And if I see the same team going in again, I'll be furious, because at the end of the day, it doesn't work. It just does not work. Simple as that.
Mate, I hear you. Just briefly on Arteta, like, this is what, year 5, maybe going into year 6 now. How much pressure is he under this season? Because you come very, very close last season. The season before, okay, was a bit unexpected, but you were top of that table for a long, long time. It's not quite happened yet. He won an FA Cup when he first took over from Emery. But I get the sense amongst the Arsenal fan base that a League Cup or an FA Cup is not really cutting it. It needs to be a league or a Champions League. How much pressure is he under this season? And do you think he should be under a bit more scrutiny? Or do you think, you know, what's happening right now is kind of fair with him?
No, good question. I don't think he's under any sort of pressure at this moment in time. But questions, you know, if you look back to that 2 seasons ago, we lost Saliba, got injured, and also Tomiyasu. Let's be honest. I think it would have been a little bit. I think maybe if Tomiyasu hadn't got injured, but he's injured again, by the way. So there's nothing changed there. But he had to find a solution for that. He never did. It ended up costing us. I don't know if you remember, played Rob Holding in a few 3-4 games, and then when the horse had bolted, he put in Kivia, and we managed to win a few more games, but didn't find a solution. Cost us. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at it now and going, well, you've got Odegaard out, and again, you've had the opportunity to do the solution, and you haven't done it. So I do think there's questions on him now. I don't know if there's a pressure. Listen, he's not going to get sacked or anything like that because of the ball on that. But I think it's time now that questions should be asked. And I don't go into this buying into this 5 year process and all that. And we've always spent all this money. All good clubs spend money, and the feeling is that, like, you know, we're getting this sort of thing now. Oh, look at Liverpool. They've only had their manager for 6 months. Look at them. I do believe that they was a very, very good team last season, Liverpool, and only slipped up towards the end because...
Well, it's the same squad as well.
That's the same squad, but there was in a lot healthier position than when Mikel took over at Arsenal. You know, Conference League wasn't even about then, like, and we wouldn't have qualified for that on 2 occasions. You know, so we was in a pretty poor state. Lots of things had to be done. The last couple of years, I think it has been his team, and there's a true reflection. So listen, there's a thing with Arsenal fans, right? They go, "You've had 5 years. He's had 5 years," you know, and then they go, "Yeah, he's won. All right." You go, "He's won an FA Cup." Yeah, that was with Emery's team. So, like, you know, but it's all right. He's had 5 years. So, what was the first 2 years in? Because that weren't his team. So, I look at it and I go, right, it's his team now, and it's delivered for the last couple of seasons as far as the league's concerned. And it's all right when you got your top players playing. You know, people go around and say, "Oh, Arsenal didn't have injuries last season." They did have injuries, but they didn't really have it to the key players. If you know, like your Odegaards, Havertz, Saliba, Gabriel, your spine. I put it that way. Your spine was pretty week in, week out. This time around, we've been decimated along that way. And of course, you've had Saka out as well. You've had Rice missing a couple of games. Like Rice never missed one game last season. Now he's missed. I think it's his third game now.
No, he's got a broken toe now, hasn't he? Might not play Sunday. I mean,
I think he will, but
yeah,
he's not going to be 100%. But but that's when you have to find ways as a manager. That's when you earn your. It's all right. You can say, right, Saliba, Gabriel, Odegaard, Rice, Saka, Havertz, go and do your bit, go and do the thing. 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, that's good enough to beat most teams in the league. But when you haven't got those players available, that is when the manager earns his money. That's when you get the reputation of being a great tactician, great this and great that. He's failing. He's failing at this moment in time because he's not found the solutions. Now, look, beginning of the season, or the beginning of the injury of Odegaard, he found ways of getting through. But I've always said this, and I always say, don't matter who the player is, if you've got a player out, you can get away with missing a top player for 1, 2, 3 games. But it's when you get 5, 6, 7, 8 games, it takes its toll. It's starting to take its toll, and he's not been able to find ways of doing it. I think he's had the options to do it with Wanyeri. I think he's a fantastic player. You get this thing, he's 17. But if he was the backup, you've got rid of your backup players in the summer with Smith Rowe and Vieira, because people go, Odegaard's, I think, missed about 4 or 5 games in the last 2 years. In those 4 or 5 games, who's replaced him? Smith Rowe and Vieira. But you decided to get rid of them because you feel that you've got a 17-year-old that's good enough. I think he's good enough. So he's your replacement. We're now 10 games into Odegaard not playing. He started 2. And that is Sunderland and Bolton. Scored in both. And if you look at it, star player against...
well, he's outperformed the likes of Sterling in them games. I know Sterling can't play in this game. He's outperformed Sterling. He's played better than a lot of the more senior players in those games. And people say, it's only Sunderland and Bolton, but all you can do is make the most of the opportunities you're given, and he does make the most of them. I was watching you boys the other night against Inter. He done more in 10 minutes than Trossard done in 80. Like if you're good enough, you're old enough. Like
100%. And listen, I'm not saying you're going to play him for 20 games, Charlie, or 25 games. It's 5, 6 games. And the other thing is, if you go back to that Preston game, from an Arsenal point of view, Jesus played that game, done okay. I'm not saying he wasn't bad. He done okay. He scored, played well. Who was the exceptional player? It was Wanyeri.
Yeah.
So you've got to make a decision at half time what to do against Inter Milan. You're 1-0 down. He chooses Jesus. There you go. Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're all of us fans of watching games, and we're no experts and all that, but we're all saying Wanyeri's got to come on, doesn't. So he prefers to bring on Jesus and continue with Havertz playing in that midfield role. But by the way, that hasn't worked. And another thing is what I would say about the Havertz thing up top. He played 1 game up top from August to January, and when he went up top, that was in the Community Shield when we beat Manchester City. The rest of the times he played midfield, done nothing.
Yeah.
So it's for me, this run is all on the manager.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's it. And get it right. Listen, beat Chelsea, things change. Winning changes everything. But if you can, if you go now like if we don't beat Chelsea, you can say you don't beat Chelsea, it's either 2 points in 12 or 1 point in 12.
That's mad.
Relegation.
That is mad.
Tremendous.
I mean, you look at this game. Your record is decent against us. As I said, we've got 1 win in our last 9 against you. It feels a little bit different this time, but I don't know how much that really means. What have you made of Chelsea? Are you surprised at how well Maresca's done so far? Obviously, we had a disappointing result against United. I felt that game was there for the taking. Obviously, we kind of crashed out the Carabao Cup as well, where I don't felt we took it that seriously. But other than that, I've been impressed with what he's done. Has he taken you by surprise? Have Chelsea done a lot better than you thought they would have done at this point?
Yeah, they have done. Listen, I back Chelsea to get into the top four because of the squad. You know what I mean? The one thing I would say was difficult with Chelsea, and is you got to keep all those very, very good players happy, and sometimes that can cause a few problems, and you've got to be a very, very good manager to do that. But he's got a fantastic squad to have, you know, and I think that eventually, like for me, I can't believe that maybe you didn't go for Aaron Ramsdale in goal. If you got someone a bit better in goal,
Sanchez is so bad.
He's not bad, but he's even last season. I think, you know, you had us by the old short and curlies last season, and he give Declan Rice the go, if you remember.
Mate,
right.
He makes mistakes every game.
Yeah.
It's a big problem. Like when you're playing as a team, and it's not a question of if your keeper makes a mistake, it's when it's going to happen. You know, he did it at United. He gave a penalty away when he didn't need to do that. Hoyland was going away from goal. He cost us both goals against Brighton. Okay, we won that game, but still two big errors there. Against Liverpool, he was slow off his line for the Curtis Jones winner. Should have done a lot better there. And look, you know, he's made some good saves and he has won us some points this season. But ultimately, the mistakes that he's making are massive. And that, for me, is a big problem for Chelsea is defensively, the goalkeeper. And our defending from set pieces, from balls into the box, is not good.
Yeah, and that's probably one of our strengths. And listen, I watched the Chelsea Man United game, not all of it, but I watched bits of it. I don't. If I'll be really honest,
it's poor.
It's not a penalty, by the way, but it is a penalty. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you know, he gets touched and he makes so much of a meal of it, but ridiculous decision to even go there. He's going nowhere. But like in my eyes, you know what I mean? It's never a penalty, but you know, like what is a penalty these days and what ain't is ridiculous. We know that he's dived, but there's contact, so it's a penalty. But I still say it's a dive. You know what I mean? If you touch him like that, how can he go over like that? But but you know, and I didn't think Man United are there for the take, and that's a bit harsh. But you know what I'm saying? There's a good.
Well, they were there. They were there for the taking.
It's a good time to take them on. But he had a good chance at the end to win it, and I think, like, you know, did Chelsea do enough in that game? Perhaps not. No. But they didn't. But not enough to win it. But they didn't lose it, like, you know. So the one I felt maybe they'd be a little bit disappointed is Newcastle. But you know, Newcastle's not an easy place to go to.
Hard game.
So and with Newcastle, and I don't mean this disrespectful to them or having a go at Chelsea. Winning the cup, that cup probably means a little bit more to them as a club than it does.
Well, it absolutely does. They haven't won anything for years.
Yeah,
and years. It definitely means more to them. Yeah,
I think if you said to a Chelsea fan, right, especially when you're saying what you see yesterday in the conference, do you want to get Champions League football or win the Carabao Cup? I think most Chelsea fans, I don't know, you're probably going to say we want to get back into the Champions League, and then
of course. I mean, you can do both, but I mean, obviously,
you can. But if you're going to
chose not to, I get what you're saying. I mean, mate, Palmer, we don't know if he's going to be fit or not yet, but I mean, you've touched on a few players, but. What players kind of concern you briefly heading into Sunday? Who do you think's got ability to cause us problems? Obviously, Palmer's the obvious one, but Jackson's doing very well.
Of course, Caicedo in midfield. We can't allow you to dominate midfield, but he's a very, very good player. I think like last season he wasn't at his best, but he's starting to get to his best now. I think whoever wins that midfield battle, if it is Thomas Partey, Declan Rice and Odegaard, that's a fantastic midfield. But Chelsea can match that with what you've got in there. It's a very, very good midfield as well. So, do you know what? Someone like Neto, if he plays, someone on the wide that can cause us a few problems. I think Arsenal probably will gain control of the game. And I don't mean like, that's mean Arsenal. I think that maybe Chelsea will allow that. And go, right, yeah, okay, you can have the ball in certain areas and then we'll do this and do that. And I think Chelsea are capable of doing that. So it'd be really interesting to see how the game pans out. If Arsenal say, you know what, we'll drop and let you and see if we can hit you on the counter-attack. I don't know. It'd be interesting. But at a midfield battle, I think whoever wins that will probably go on and win the game. And you know, I look at Caicedo, I'm a big fan of his. Lavia is a good player as well, but we need to get around him. It depends what, you know, I think that Chelsea have got few options in there that they can use. Enzo can come in there as well. Like, I think if you play, I'd like to see him play because I think that we can get in and around, go through him, where I think that the others we can't. So it'd be interesting. Look, listen, if Cole Palmer doesn't play, I'm not going to lie, that'd be pleasing for us. It's got to.
Yeah,
you don't want to play as injured, but he's not massively injured. But if he does miss this game, then it'd be interesting. Like from that point of view, he didn't play in the game last season when we beat you 5-0. So, and he was on absolute fire from at that time. So it'd be interesting. I think Cole Palmer will play. I don't know if you believe that or not, but I think he will.
I think he probably will. Whether he starts or not, I think he'll be involved in some capacity.
I think that like teams do this, don't they? Palmer.
I don't get the mind games. Like, what benefit? Like, Arsenal know that like he probably's going to play anyway. Like, I don't really see what difference it really makes if they know he's going to play and they're just not saying. It's a weird thing, isn't it? But
yeah. The same with Declan Rice, you know what I mean? Like, right, he's got a broken toe, but we all know
he's going to play.
You put an injection in that, freeze it, and you can get.
And he's playing. Everyone knows he's playing, and he'll play Sunday, and he'll pull out the England squad Monday.
100%, and rightly so, because he's got a broken toe, and probably Cole Palmer will do exactly the same as well. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I understand that, like, so. But there's a couple of interesting decisions team wise and all that, like, But listen, Chelsea are a good side. The reason that we've had the better over Chelsea over the last couple of seasons because there's been a big gap in the better team, like it was when we couldn't get wins against you. It was, the gap was too wide, if I'll be honest, from Chelsea to Arsenal. Chelsea have pulled back that gap a little bit now, like, and I think that that makes it a more intriguing game. But Arsenal, listen, I talk to Chelsea fans, I got a couple of Chelsea fans, they don't think they're in the title race.
Oh, no, not in a title race, no. But we're definitely, I think I was going to say we're favourites for the top four, but we're very much, I think it's between us and Villa at this point for that fourth.
Yeah, and but at this moment in time, Arsenal are on the same points, but everybody thinks that Arsenal in a title race. So that shows you there's a little bit of a difference in the two teams. The good thing from an Arsenal point of view, if Arsenal turn up and play to their best, then I'll be happy. But we don't look nowhere near it at the moment. That's my worry, you know what I mean? But we've got to go to this game and win it. Listen, Spurs, by the time we kick off, they'll be above it, both of us. So that's not good viewing at any stage. And realistically, at this stage of the season, and 4 defeats from them, and look at the inconsistency of them.
Yeah, exactly.
If we're not above them, there's got to be questions raised, and that's where it comes in from Mikel. This is a massive game for us. If Arsenal can get the result here, people, it'll put us back in probably third or fourth, and people go, oh, it's not so much of a crisis, but lose this game, and the title's gone, and we're in a race for top 4, which is something that we've not been doing in the last couple of seasons. So there will be massive questions, and rightly so.
No, 100%, mate. Final thing, score prediction. I mean, as you said, you're 1 point from 9. You don't want it to be 1 from 12. But what are you saying? Do you think you can return to winning ways?
Yeah, I think. Listen, if Kai Havertz is up front and Odegaard or Nwaneri are playing, I think we'll win it. If I took at the team sheet and none of them are in here and Havertz is back in midfield, it's done. Well done, Chelsea. Good 3 points. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
For me, I think Arsenal win 2-0 if they play the right team. If they don't, they'll lose 2-0. Simple as that.
Simple as that. There we go. I do fancy us. I'm going to go 2-1 but I don't want to go into the international break on a loss. And it's even worse going into the international break on a loss to Arsenal. So we just got to do something. We just got to do something. But I think it'll be a good game. Hopefully a load of goals. Hopefully not a boring game. But we'll wait and see. Mate, thanks for coming as always. It's greatly appreciated.
No problem, Charlie.
People should know where you are, but if they don't, let them know.
Yeah, like Lee Judges TV, anytime that, Instagram or Twitter, if you want to follow me on there, is Lee Mark Judges. And But I'm not really nice to Chelsea fans, so there you go.
Nah, thanks a lot, mate. Guys, make sure you check out all these content. It'll be in the description. Go and show them some support. Loads of great stuff. And yeah, let's hope for a Chelsea win on Sunday, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like, subscribe, and I'll catch you again soon.